To check.
Has anybody challenged you?
I got challenged, I replied that I don't want to reply to challenges of hand-to-hand combat to the death.
Yeah, my daughter has real issues with it because she said, why don't she said, because she says, we did a relay, but why can't we do that? And this is like, she said,
Let's get started. I've asked the city attorney to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the August 21, 2014 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3, alongside Commissioner Kevin Cook, who serves as vice chair and represents District 2, and Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1. Welcome and good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
First item, please.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Questions or comments about the consent agenda?
I do not.
I do not either. Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda as presented by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $1,530,656.60. The highlights out of those vouchers are Capers contributions, holding accounts with the state of Kansas, Health Insurance Administration, Public Works projects, the Register of Deeds imaging's payment, and payments to waste management for our solid waste. Those items that I've highlighted total up to $1,328,677.98. So those would be the highlights. I do not see any issues with the vouchers and would move for their approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve the vouchers as presented, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
There are no correction orders today.
Next item.
Item B, Commission, number 1, public hearing regarding the City of Topeka's proposed addition of area to the Heartland Park redevelopment district to include land outside the boundaries of the city, and consider resolution number 2014-66 consenting to the proposed addition.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller to open the public hearing. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rich Eckert, County Councilor. The city has prepared a presentation today, and because I personally believe you can never hear from enough law degrees, City Attorney Chad Sublett will lead off. So with that,
Thank you. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioner Bueller, I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you this morning. For the last 9 months, the city's been working cooperatively with the state and Jayhawk Racing to amend the current Starbond plan as it relates to Heartland Park and the Starbond area. Today, we're presenting you with what that plan is and what the future of Heartland Park and the expanded district could look like. To start off with, in any Starbond plan, there's really 3 components. One is a plan, one is the district, and then the issuance of bonds. So I'd like to talk about what the proposed plan is, what it looks like as it relates to those 3 areas. The plan that has been put before you and put before the community accomplishes first 2 goals. First, it allows the city to acquire Heartland Park and all the associated property free and clear of any encumbrances. And if you look at the map, this yellow portion right here, that's the current Starbond district incorporating Heartland Park. The city would move forward with requesting from the Department of Commerce star bonds, approximately $5 million worth of star bonds to acquire this property and to pay off all the encumbrances associated with the property. This is not a new plan, this is amending the current plan. So in terms of the project, as star bond projects go, The plan is fairly simple. It's acquisition of real property. The city would acquire this property. And we would request the issuance of full faith and credit star bonds to acquire that property. The second part is the district. The purple area you see here would be the expanded district. It would expand up to Beacon Boulevard, Jacroy, and incorporate all of those businesses in that area. The real advantage of this community is the expansion of the district. What it would allow is the city to utilize the state portion of sales tax to repay the debt associated with Heartland Park. And that the taxes in this district, the only taxing entities that would see an impact would be the city and the state. We're not asking for any county contribution in sales tax. We're not asking, there will be no changes in services. There's been some confusion. Some people have said is this an annexation? There's no annexation. Nobody's going to be annexed into the city. It's simply an expansion of the taxing district to allow us to use those sales tax to address the debt service currently associated with Heartland Park. We have looked at actual data. The word projections have been used. What we did is we went to the Department of Commerce. We got the taxing information for every parcel within that expanded district, and we looked at 2012, and we looked at 2 or 3 different years to see what does the actual data tell us about what those collections are going to be. And what we've estimated is, what we've seen is that it will be about $16.4 million, which will be enough to address the current debt associated with Heartland Park and the issuance of $5 million of additional star bonds. So it will allow the city to address the debt service and also to acquire Heartland Park. There's also been some discussion about is the city going to get into the racing business? I think I can speak pretty confidently that the city has no intent to get into the racing business. We do not want to operate Heartland Park going forward. Our plan is to identify an ownership group or a management group to manage Heartland Park. And we've entered into we've had discussions with several racing entities, and several people have an interest in Heartland Park. Everybody associates Heartland Park with the NHRA, that's the pull. And the NHRA, if the Star Bond project goes forward, there's a commitment for 3 more years to continue their national events at Heartland Park. Additionally, we've talked to a number of other racing entities, including the Porsche Club, BMW Club, National Auto Sports Association, who are all supportive of this plan and plan to continue the relationship with Heartland Park if this plan goes forward, and perhaps even increase the number of events there. So I believe in terms of the plan, again, it's acquisition of the property, expansion of the district to address the debt service currently associated with it, and then to find an ownership group to manage or own Heartland Park. And again, I want to emphasize for this body that the plan does not, there's no plan to use any county funds whatsoever as we move forward with the expanded district. It's simply state and city taxes. And I would stand for any questions if this body would have any.
Are there questions for the city attorney?
No, that's done. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Chairman, I believe the mayor had some points that he wanted to make as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity, and I think that's the excellent overview of what is proposed. I would like to provide just a bit more of an overview and a little bit different perspective. The issue of the city having to use property tax to pay star bonds was an issue when I came on the council 5 years ago, as Commissioner Archer would understand. And then within the next few years, we see them ballooning, going up a great deal. So with that in mind, the city had to start looking at other options, what we could do. There is somewhat of a precedent for this because and I don't know the exact time, 1.5 years ago to 2 years, the T-Bones in Wyandotte County also had star bonds. Not enough revenue was being generated, so they went to the state, and the Secretary of Commerce agreed to expand the catchment area for their star bonds payment, and very similar to what we're doing. And I know there the Unified Government of Wyandotte County was instrumental in bringing that about. So that's really where this started a year and a half ago. It seems a simple solution would be to expand the Star Bond area. But there are other aspects of this where we get involved with the state, Secretary of Commerce, and as has been mentioned, they also have some say, and they wanted to make sure there was a better role ownership of the Heartland Park and a plan going forward. And therefore, as Mr. Sublett described, a plan has been developed to purchase the property so that it's right, as you have learned, there is revisionary clauses. It's very difficult for the park to function the way perhaps changes that should be made for the future. So it's all tied together. We can't just do one step. We have to do this whole process. So that's the idea of why a plan is modified. In a sense, I could say it's like T-bones. It was almost a impossible situation to allow Heartland Park to create enough revenue to pay the Star bonds because it was a small area. It thought there would be more retail established, but that didn't occur. Heartland Park, I know they're having like 220 event days a year. There are thousands going there. It is a major draw for the city, the county, for the various retail sales tax that is generated. So I think this is a win-win situation. It's something moving forward for the city, the county. It's a tremendous property. The potential is outstanding. And this allows us to take those steps to start the process. And of course, we can't determine where it will go because we have to start the process. And this is the beginning. So we request your support for it. I think it's just a very good situation moving forward for the city and the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there others who would like to comment? Come right on up, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Mike Staub. I'm an Overland Park resident, and I am past president of the Kansas City BMW Club, current vice president, and I have ran events at Heartland Park for about 10 years. Personally, I moved to the Kansas City area in '88. Shortly after that, started bringing my son to Heartland Park for drag race events, road course events, mostly as a spectator before I got involved in driving on road courses. A little about BMW Club nationally. We're about 70,000 members. We have 650 approximately in the Kansas City area, which encompasses most of Kansas. We have been doing events at Heartland Park for about 20 years. So we have a long history. We enjoy coming to Heartland Park. It's a nice track and a very good facility. We have, the last 2 years, have been doing regional events that basically encompass not only our chapter, but a chapter in Oklahoma, one in St. Louis, and another in Nebraska. For those events, we represent about 2,000 members in this 4.5 state area. So we bring a lot of people into town. We stay at your hotels. We eat your food. We buy your gasoline. We just enjoy coming to Topeka. Again, about the facility. I've been to road courses all over the eastern part of the country, and some of the biggest road courses, most well-named Virginia International Raceway, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Road America. None of those facilities are any better. In fact, most are not as nice as what Heartland Parks is. We would like to continue coming here. We also have an opportunity nationally. We have an event each year called Oktoberfest that brings people in from all over the country. It was in Colorado this year. We'd like to be able to offer something like that up to our members. It brings in about 1,000 people for O-Fest. So, Anyway, I've already been warned, I'm a long talker and not to waste more than 4 minutes, but I would love to entertain any questions that you might have.
You don't have to worry about 4 minutes here.
Okay.
You don't have to sign up, and you don't have to worry about time.
Very good.
So,
Yeah, any questions
Any
any of you would
questions?
have?
No,
any questions?
thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Are there others? Yes, sir. Come right up.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and to discuss the Heartland Park issue with you. I would like to state for the record that I do not have a law degree.
Sir.
My name-
Congratulations.
Thank
Would you please identify
Yes,
yourself?
my name is Robert Wayman, and I'm the president of the Kansas City region of the Porsche Club of America. The Porsche Club of America is the largest single mark car club in the world, with more than 107,000 members across the country in 141 regions. And I'm here representing the more than 700 members of the Kansas City region of the PCA. I'm also an avid track participant, driving in 10 to 12 driving events on road courses every year in my little orange 82 Porsche. The Porsche Club of America offers performance driving education and racing program on a national basis. In 2013, more than 25,000 PCA members participated in one or more of these events. Since 2001, our club has organized more than 25 multiple-day events at Heartland Park, drawing more than 2,500 participants and their additional guests to Topeka from a 7-state area. I'd like to tag on to Mike's event that I have personally driven every single road course in the Midwest, and the Heartland Park track is the most exciting, most challenging track to drive that I've been on, and it also has the best facility of any place that I have been to. And I've been to all of the places that Mike has, and actually even driven there instead of just drove by. And so it is a valuable commodity to the members of the Porsche Club of America, and we want to see that continue into the future. And we're confident that a reinvigorated Heartland Park, which this plan will provide for, will once again become a destination of choice for multiple track enthusiasts from multiple organizations from a large area. People with these cars will drive a long way to come to a world-class racetrack, and that's what we have here. So the Kansas City region of the PCA fully supports and commends the action before you, and we very much look forward to planning many events and bringing all of our folks back to Topeka again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Are there others? Yes, sir.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Kurt Young, and I live at 6210 Southeast 61st Street in Tecumseh, Kansas. My comments this morning will be very similar to the comments I made before the City Council at the public hearing there. For the last 9.5 years, I have co-owned a hotel located within the proposed sales tax district, and I am currently the president of the Topeka Lodging Association. I have a long history of both personal and public support for Heartland Park, as it plays an integral part in the success of the hotel. In addition, provides substantial lodging room nights throughout the year to all of the lodging properties in Topeka. This should not and cannot be overlooked in this consideration, as both the City of Topeka and Shawnee County benefit immensely from the sales tax revenues, as well as transient guest tax revenues generated as a result of the event calendar at Heartland Park, Topeka. As president of the Topeka Lodging Association, I can attest to the fact that every hotel in Topeka benefits from the presence of Heartland Park, as well as the community benefiting also. But let's step away for just a minute from the direct benefits to the hotels and discuss the financial impact to both the city and county due to sales tax revenues generated by this venue. I don't have the exact figures of what sales tax revenue is generated annually. as a result of Heartland Park, but I know it is substantial. Substantial enough that it will be missed when it comes budget time, and both government entities will need to figure out how to replace it. As this issue has progressed through the last several months, I continue to be amazed at the misinformation that has been so prevalent in the community about this topic. This is truly about one thing. The city of Topeka is currently obligated for about $9 million in debt that without this approval can only be paid from their existing budget, which has no room for that large of a commitment. That's already been alluded to by Mr. Sublette. By increasing the size and scope of the sales tax district associated with this bond obligation to the proposed boundaries, it will generate enough revenue through sales tax revenues that the bonds can easily be paid back in a timely fashion. Pure and simple, that's all it is. There is a common misconception within the public sector that Heartland Park is basically a single event venue. Everyone can relate to the Kansas Nationals NHRA event that takes place every May, but very few people seem to understand the significance of the many other events that take place throughout the year. I would venture to say there is not a single business on South Topeka Boulevard that does not prosper as a result of events at Heartland Park. Some of the events that take place there are big enough they impact the financial success of businesses all over town. You have heard this morning from some of those clients that utilize this facility, not just once a year, but in some cases several times a year. Keep in mind that they're spending their discretionary money that they don't have to spend here in Topeka, for fuel, dining, tires, car repairs, equipment repairs, lodging, and other necessities as needed. For example, just yesterday, there's an event going on at Heartland Park this weekend, and I received a phone call from a guest wanting to rent a generator, a large generator, for this entire weekend. It impacts everyone. Heartland Park is a valuable asset to the Topeka, Shawnee County, and state of Kansas travel and tourism market. This is obviously demonstrated by the fact that the state has agreed to establish the proposed new sales tax district boundaries. I doubt this would even be considered by the state if there was no recognition of the overall financial benefit that Heartland Park provides to our community and the state. Every effort should be made to not only support this venue, but to continue to look for ways to maximize the type and number of events that can be held there. Having had many discussions with Terry Cook, President and CEO of Visit Topeka, I know he has given much thought on how to expand the event calendar and is prepared to put his energy into making that happen. The financial impact that this venue has on the Topeka and Shawnee County market is very substantial and should be protected. I would wholeheartedly ask that you support this proposal today, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Young?
Oh, thank you.
Nope. Thank you for your testimony, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to participate? Yes, sir. Come right up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Looks like you've got a lot of people waiting for later items on the agenda, so I won't take up too much of your time. My name is Chris Emming. I live at 5913 Southwest 10th Terrace in Topeka, Kansas. It's really kind of a privilege to be or the only resident of the city to be here to testify today, other than the city paid staff. So I feel like I've got a special position here, so I appreciate the opportunity. Just to give you a little background, last night I got a call from one of the local media stations and said they'd been calling around and they wanted my opinion on why I wanted to close Heartland Park. And I thought, wow, that's a shock. I've never said that. You know, I am leading a petition drive and will be leading a petition drive on this issue. My intent is not to close Heartland Park. In fact, my alternatives would be a better solution, in my opinion, for the long-term best interest of the park. The city does have a real problem, and Mr. Colson inherited, the mayor inherited. You know, the district needs to be expanded, absolutely, positively. I'm not opposed to that. I think that is the best solution to relieving the property tax burden, not just going forward, but we already have that burden. The city's been subsidizing the existing bonds for some time. That's just a fact. So I think their proposed solution to expand the district is appropriate. And you always learn something when you hang around with smart people, and the mayor is certainly one of those in the room. When he mentioned the T-bones, I was a little surprised. Apparently they expanded the district, but I wasn't aware the city of Kansas City had acquired that property or acquired the T-bones. But I really don't think they did. I think they expanded the district to solve the problem. So it's not quite the same. My question, and I have to admit the city gave me the opportunity to meet with them the other day, and I posed that to them. Can we just expand the district? Leave out the acquisition of the property? And given the circumstances, the city believes this is the only option. And they told me this is the only option that the state will approve. And I kind of pushed back a little bit on that, and they said, well, if you don't believe us, contact KDOC directly. So I did that after the meeting. And interesting, I posed what I thought were 3 simple questions, but the response was, we'd like our attorney to meet with you within the next couple of days to talk about your questions. I'm thinking, well, yes, yes, and yes would have been sufficient for me, but I posed that question to them. Can we expand the district? Can the city get approval just for that? I don't know the answer to that yet. They haven't told me that. Can we expand the district and reserve our star bond capacity to make improvements to the track? Not to acquire the track, but to improve the track. I think the track needs improvements. If anybody doesn't think it does, I think they just have a different opinion than I do. I think it's well evident that it does. And in fact, the track needs to complete the improvements that were promised back in 2005. Every year, the city of Topeka submits a report to the state of Kansas listing the progress of the Star Bond project. And I provided a copy of that report to the commission. It lists 27 projects that were promised back in 2005. Only 13 of those have been completed for a total of incurred cost of $17 million. The city has put in its share, its promise. The city has done everything it promised to do. $10 million in star bonds, $5 million in GOB bonds, an additional 750 GO bonds. Plus, separate from that, some other marketing money. The city has done everything it promised to do. So you can't blame the city or the residents of the city for not doing their part. So I do support that part of the expansion of the district. Absolutely, I think it helps the city, it solves the problem. What I don't agree with, obviously, is the acquisition. I use the term bailout. The city attorney dislikes that word. When they adopt documents at the city, they call those workouts. The city adopted a workout in June that really committed the city to what's going on. I mean, I assume that document's been executed by all the parties. And it is very clear what happens. If the city doesn't perform, the track is in somebody else's hands. Not the city's hands, somebody else's hands. And I understand that, and that puts us in a bad position. But at the time, that was described as the first of 17 steps. It wasn't the first step, it was the first and last step. The city committed to a specific plan of action at that time. And if they don't perform, if they don't get the star bonds, the expanded district, and close in February, the deeds are filed somewhere and they'll get filed. That's what it says. And you can see that. They already know that. I'm not saying anything I can't give you a document right now that says. So we're in a bad spot. People have to act or bad things happen. It's not my fault. It's not Mr. Colson's fault. Not the mayor's fault. They inherited this problem and they're trying their best to resolve it. And I applaud them for that. It's a tough spot to be in. So I think those are issues that are out there. But my point to you in writing the memo yesterday was to point out why, based upon what you have, in my opinion, there are problems with the proposal presented to you. First of all, I don't think the city is in compliance with the star bond requirement. Very simple requirement that star bonds are not to exceed 50% of the project cost. The city's report that you have has an audit that says the cost to date are $17 million. The city's star bond contribution to date is $10 million. Those are pretty easy numbers. And there's no version of math that I know of where 10 million into 17 is less than 50%. It's just not in compliance. And what you'll see in the city's report is the projected costs are 23 million. Those have been projected costs for the last 5 years of reports I have. And I think I pointed out to you the report's been pretty much the same one the last 3 and 4 years. No change in cost, no change in work being done. So I think, frankly, I don't think sitting there that you can say that you're approving a plan that's in compliance with that specific provision of state law. Now the city attorney, when we met, I did ask him, and he thinks he's got a solution to that. I don't really know specifically what that is, but they're confident they can meet that requirement. And maybe they can. But part of the plan is to issue yet another $5 million in star bonds. So now we're up to $15 million. So total project costs now have to be $30 million or more. You have no information available to you in what you got from the city that says there are project costs of $30 million. In fact, if you look at the sheet they call project costs, it doesn't list costs at all. It lists projects, but no costs. So you cannot be confident that requirement's been met, in my opinion. Perhaps other people have briefed you differently, and that's fine. I know you have information that I don't have. So that's part of the point I'm making. Improvements that were promised in 2005 have not been made. Sources of funds that were promised in 2005 by the city of Topeka have been made. Almost all the capital improvements out there have been financed by the city. There's some all federal grant, and there's a little bit of private money. Other than that, all the promises about funding made back then have not been met. There's a lot of talk about the economic impact, and I apologize for spending so much time in my memo to you. I know you don't have time to read that kind of stuff, but I don't try and make claims that I can't back up. Mr. Irwin commissioned a Hedges report, a report from the Hedges Company a couple years ago, and that is the source of this 160 million magic number that everybody's talking about. I think if you try and connect the dots in that report with other sources of information, you just can't reconcile those numbers. There is an impact. Washburn estimated it to be 25 million in the mid-2000s. Even if you inflate that, it doesn't reach 160 million. And Washburn had no financial incentive in the deal. They had no reason to come up with a number. When you commission a report yourself, I think you have some expectation you're going to get a good number. So I think I provided some basis to you for questioning that number. Sure, there's an important number out there. I just don't think it's as high as people are including. And that information is also in the information the city provided to you. So in my mind, I think you're relying on that. And that's why I pointed out that I think there's some questions about that. There's also been mentioned in articles and in various comments about the project how this will contribute to the redevelopment of the whole area. There is nothing in that plan that you have that talks about redevelopment in the expanded district. There's not Project 1 outside of the racetrack. All of the additional star bond authority is being used for the acquisition of the property, and it's clear from the workout agreement that the acquisition of the property in turn is going to pay off loans and pay off the owner. There's no plan described for making improvements along Topeka Boulevard. There's no plans for how they're going to fund additional improvements to the park. So anybody that says this is going to promote the redevelopment of the whole area, other than preservation of Heartland Park in some form, it's just not in what you have to look at. It's just not there. The city attorney clearly said, and Mr. Colson has said this many times, their intent is not to operate the track. And I suppose that's technically true, but when you buy something, I think you're obligated to operate it. Now maybe you contract with somebody else to operate it, but you own it, you operate it. And we're supposed to trust the city on that. And I believe that they don't really want to own it. There's no Department of Racing over there. I think they're sincere about wanting to sell it, and they probably have indications that they can't disclose about interest. I'm sure that's true. But in my mind, is it reasonable to expect somebody's gonna buy a track that over 26 years, it's been 26 years, apparently hasn't generated the ability to survive on its own? I think 26 years is a good trial period. I think that's plenty of time to demonstrate that you've got a viable operation. People were impacted by the financial crisis, no doubt, but it should have recovered by now if it was going to. So I think that's a philosophical point, that there are a lot of people that don't think the city should own a racetrack. And I don't think the county does either, but obviously you've been smart enough not to get yourself in this position. I agree with the mayor when he said the potential is outstanding out there. I think the alternatives that we have available to us would do that in a way that's better than the one available to you right now. If we reserve that additional star bond capacity that they've estimated we have, you would have $5 million available That's fine. I did that in judge's chamber once, and it was not good. My point is, we're using up some valuable star bond capacity here. By acquiring the tract, we're giving up the opportunity to use star bonds to finance improvements for a subsequent owner. If we do it this way, that capacity is gone. We've expanded the district. We've used up our capacity to do improvements. What are we going to do when somebody wants to buy the tract and help with improvements? We don't have a resource other than just regular tax money. So I think we're wasting an opportunity there. And that's why people that support the tract should support that option. The city would say we really don't have an option, but I think there is. Mr. Young suggested that he didn't have the exact number of the sales tax that's generated out there. I just happen to have that number, courtesy of the city of Topeka. In 2013, the taxes generated from the tract were $203,000. That is the economic impact. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and the direct impact of the tract now is $203,000. That doesn't come anywhere close to covering the debt service, and we know that. But if you work backwards to what $203,000 represents in terms of total sales out there, it's what, $2 million or less? $2 million of activity at the track. You calculate 2 million times 7.8%, that's 200,000. That's a far cry from what you see in their projections. So there's some issues that need to be reconciled, and I think people should address those. So in any case, I think there are some issues out there. I think whether the state will approve an option, a different option is important. Hopefully I don't have to do a legal brief to get that answer, but I think you should know that. I think the city is confident that they know what the answer is, but I'm not. So in short, as the guy with the petition, you know, there is no organized effort here. You're looking at the effort. My wife found out about it after the paper posted the fact that the petition had been dropped off. So I think it's still one guy. In any case, we expect that we'll hear back on that. The 5 days is up tomorrow, and we hope to have a form available for people to sign. I have to compliment the people at the elections office. You know, I bought a list of registered voters out there. They were very helpful. They suggested that you know, petition forms could be improved by giving people, making their job easier and people. So I have to compliment the county employees out there. They were very professional. So in short, I'm not opposed to expanding the district. People that I talk to when I hand out the petitions will know that. I don't want to close Heartland Park. I think there's a better option. Now, can I go around the city of Topeka and get 2,000 people to agree to that and sign a petition? I don't know. I've got a regular job, and I've got to get back to it. But you know, so I don't know if people are really worried about that. But I've never done it before. I don't have an organization behind me. I have people that have contacted me, but not hundreds, just a few. So the chances of the successful petition drive, you know, I wouldn't bet big money on that. And then subsequent to that, you have to win the election. Suppose you get this petition and you do that. Then you've got to win the election. Nothing is reversed until that election is held. And there's a lot of money at stake for some people. You know, there's $5 million at stake on one side. And my wife's retirement fund is not going to fund much of a campaign on the other side. So, you know, I don't know what people are so worried about. But I think the people of the city of Topeka should have the option, in this case, to make their wishes known at the ballot box. This is an important issue. Had it not been for our prior experience out there, you know, we've done the star bonds before. They said, trust us, we have projections, it's going to be great. Well, it hasn't been great. And now we're supposed to trust that the projections are good again. I think they're better. I don't doubt that there's enough sales tax revenue as you extend up there. I have no doubt that that'll cover the cost of the existing bonds and probably additional bonds. So I support that. And I hope we get enough petitions signed so that people can go to the ballot box. I'm glad you don't have a 4-minute limit. That's,
Other questions?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
I've got just a couple of questions. I'm not sure I understand what question is going to be posed. I guess I'm confused. You have confidence in the city's ability. They met all the obligations that they had to in the past. You have confidence in the mayor, which I do also. And you indicated the city is trying to do the right thing. You want to expand the district, and that's and you're fine with that. I guess I'm not. I mean, you have confidence or you don't have confidence. You want to expand the district. I don't understand exactly what question will be posed.
that's a good question. There
Okay.
are two parts to what the city did.
Okay.
Expand the district and authorize additional star bond capacity. That's what it says. So you really can't separate the two. And I haven't gotten any feedback on my petition form, so I can't tell you for sure I've got it worded correctly. But the only option, as I understand it, is for the petition to suggest that we repeal that ordinance. It doesn't appear to allow us to repeal Part 2 of the ordinance, the part about the acquisition. You know, where's the county councilor? Maybe he can tell us right
He's
now.
right here.
There he is. If we can amend that petition to only apply to the second part of that ordinance, great. I'll amend it when I get back. But I don't think we can. Unfortunately, Commissioner, unfortunately, I think they're tied together. I wish I could do it that way. If that was the proposal to expand the district only, I wouldn't be here. And I think the city understands, or the city's explanation to me, not only are they tied together, but they have to be tied together.
And you indicated you thought there was a better way.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear what that better way is.
Well, the better way is what I described in my memo to you. I think the better way is to expand the district, authorize an additional $5 million in bonds for improvements at the track when it is sold to a new owner. That's what I put in. And that's a question I asked the state. Can we do that?
Okay.
I think that's the better option. You get a better track, you get a new owner, you take care of the property tax problem for the existing star bonds.
Okay.
Now, I think whether it's revisionary or reversionary, that seems to be the magic trump card in this whole thing, and I don't understand what that, I understand generally what it is, but I trust the city attorney is true that really puts us in a bad spot here. So,
Okay.
I appreciate your comments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony. Are there others? Yes, come right up.
Thank you, Commissioners, for the opportunity to comment. My name is Sharon Borniak. I live at 5301 Southwest 40th Terrace here in Topeka. I grew up in Topeka and then worked in the private sector in St. Louis. I'm now retired. I'm a community volunteer. I agree that the Star Bond District should be expanded to pay off the current bonds. However, what I do object to is the city getting into the racing business. I have some concerns about that. Mr. Sublette said that there are some prospective buyers, but in that vein, why why can't the current owners sell Heartland Park Topeka? Why should the city shoulder that responsibility? I just don't think that would be appropriate. I think the free enterprise system ought to take care of this, and the government, local government, not get involved and saddle us with potentially more debt. I live in Arizona during the winter, so I'm somewhat aware of the hockey stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And that situation has gotten the city of Glendale into a lot of debt. The hockey arena, in addition to paying off the debt service, has a management fee to pay, averaging $12.6 million a year that the citizens, the taxpayers, have to shoulder that burden. So I'm concerned that if the city isn't successful in selling Heartland Park Topeka to another buyer, what are the management fees going to be? I looked at the website, the City of Topeka website, and over all the documents, and I really couldn't see anything in there about a management fee and who would be responsible for that. That's all I have.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir. Come right up.
My name's Leo Hafner. I live at 6115 Southwest 38th Street here in Topeka. I'm a retired former employee of the state of Kansas. I worked for the legislature for 34 years. I don't want to debate the merits of Heartland Park. I think most people think that it's an asset to the city. But my concern is whether this whole situation is going to work. And I probably know enough about star bonds, just enough to be dangerous, because my knowledge is from the mid-'90s when I was involved in a review of the use of star bonds up in Wyandotte County for the Speedway and for the Village West development up there. And so from what I remember, and I know the legislature's probably made some adjustments and changes, and I know that there was some lobbying that went on when they made some adjustments just for the Heartland Park thing and to allow some of the things that went on there. But my recollection of the star bond issue was when you assign your district, you essentially freeze the sales tax and transient guest tax that was there at the time. And so what you're using is the incremental sales tax to pay off the bonds, not all of the sales tax that exists in the district. And so, for example, if that district were producing $1 million at the time that the Star Bond district was established, then that $1 million couldn't be counted, and so it was then, if you went to $2 million, then that additional $1 million was used to pay off the bonds. My question is, what is it that anybody thinks is going to bloom in this new district that hasn't bloomed already, that's going to help pay off this additional $5 million in bonds? We already had, supposedly in 2006, the notion that there were $10.5 million and something was going to happen in the smaller district that was going to be good development that was going to pay off the cost of those bonds. And we know from experience that that hasn't happened. And so I guess what I'm cautioning people about is, I know there's optimism, and anytime anybody says economic development, everybody wants to jump on board with it. But, you know, lacking any evidence that there's going to be some big economic development activity in here that's going to generate additional sales tax revenue and transient guest tax revenue, are we going to just throw $5 million of good money after bad money? And so that's my question. So and so I support pretty much everything Mr. Emming was saying, and you know, and I also support the points that Sharon was making, because there are management fees and other things, and you know, you can say we don't want to own the racetrack, but we're going to own the racetrack, and so then we become responsible for making sure that's successful, and the city really doesn't have any experience in running a racetrack. Mr. Irwin, who in theory has the experience and who has had some financial skin in the game up to this point, hasn't been able to make it go. So what makes us think we can do it better? So those would be my only comments.
Thank you, Mr. Hatter.
Sure.
Others to provide thoughts this morning? Commissioners?
Go ahead.
Commissioner Cook?
I defer to Commissioner Bueller. if she
I
has
have a couple of follow-up questions. On the incremental, the last, and I'll direct this to you, Chad, what Leo said on the incremental increase in taxes, can you speak to that?
If I may, Commissioner Bueller, as an attorney, I struggle with talking about finances, so I'd
Finances
ask
to
Mr.
the-
Gerber
Okay.
if he could address
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great, thank you.
Thank you.
That's an attorney deferring to a CPA.
And wisely so.
Good morning, Commissioners. Doug Gerber, Director of Administrative Financial Services. Regarding your question, Commissioner Bueller, the base year is 2005, and in 2005, total sales tax revenues were $4.4 million for the expanded district. In 2013, actual numbers were $5.7 million for the expanded district. So we anticipate that that would be the increment that's generated over the life of the STAR bonds over the next 11 years.
Okay.
And then if you expand that out using a 1% growth,
Yeah.
it averages to about 1.6 million a year.
Okay.
So again, those are based on actual numbers.
And does that impact the transient guest tax then as well, as Leo mentioned?
Does it impact the
Yeah,
in
the
what way?
transient guest tax, does that, it's just sales tax?
It's just sales tax, so the transient guest tax is what it is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Commissioner?
As to the question about if the city is in compliance or the state with the 50%.
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Bueller. Yes, our preliminary financial look at this is that we will be in compliance. There's two different statutes when you're looking at the 50% test. One statute would look at, since the implementation of the Star Bond project in '05, and then there's a second test, which is actually the more difficult test, then that's the one we're going to meet. 50% of the project costs would have to come from this Star Bond expansion. So there's $5 million in potential Star Bonds that would be issued, so we would need a $5 million or more contribution, non-Star Bond contribution to that. And it gets into the reversionary interest, and if I could, I would like to just talk about that a little bit.
Please.
When we talk about purchasing Heartland Park, Jayhawk Racing has what's called a reversionary interest in the property, meaning the property would revert back to Jayhawk Racing at the end of when the bonds were issued. So Jayhawk Racing essentially has a reversionary interest in the property for the next 10 years. That's what makes it difficult for Jayhawk Racing to market this property, in addition to all the entities that have mortgages and loans and the city has an interest. So as I've tried to describe, it's not like Jayhawk Racing, it's not like they could just sell the house. There was a reversionary interest attached to that, which affects the market of the property. And then to circle back to the 50% test, there was a accounting of what Heartland Park was worth. And that accounting it's worth $15.3 million, and that was done by CBE out of Kansas City in 2012. So we are purchasing, the proposed plan is to purchase Heartland Park for around $5 million, and there would be a contribution because that reversionary interest is worth more than $5 million that would increase, that would give us that 50% test. So it's also important to recognize that we believe 50% test will be met, but the Department of Commerce has to sign off on that, the Attorney General has to sign off on that, and Bond Counsel has to sign off on that. So there are going to be several lawyers that will be
Yeah.
examining that 50% test, but we feel confident that we'll meet that test.
And then ordinance that the city passed, it had both actions in it then. It had the expansion of the district and future use. So I'm going to ask and look to Rich Eckert. Our resolution, or our resolution, clarify to me what our action would be today, if you could, up there. Because if the city's action is together, and just asking the question on the petition and that sort of thing, what is our action today?
Because the district includes unincorporated area, you have to approve the enlargement of the district, and that's all you're doing today.
So we don't have any say-so, we don't have any authority on, from here going forward, on what the city of Topeka would do.
That's correct. All you're doing is approving the geographical district. And I will say one thing, we should take a moment to acknowledge a rare feat in that a Porsche guy and a BMW guy agreed with one another.
So acquisition of property, all that sort of thing, management, that is not within our jurisdiction.
No,
All that we are looking at today is the expansion of the boundaries.
that is the only thing the Board of County Commissioners has to do today.
Mr.
But it's a hearing, it is a public hearing.
Yeah, exactly,
And
sure,
anything that's relevant and
right,
can be said, and that's what's going on right now.
exactly, okay.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Cook.
And by expanding the geographical district, it does not have any impact on the county sales tax occurring within that geographical boundaries.
Correct.
So in essence, our approval of this resolution does not hurt, help, or have any impact whatsoever on the county. In fact, we are not taking any position on the issuance of star bonds, the legitimacy of governmental programs, the racetrack. All we're doing is saying we can take the sales tax, or the taxing district, from the yellow to add the blue, and we are okay with that. Is that it?
It sounds so simple, it's hard to me to agree with that, being an attorney, but yes.
All right. I don't have anything.
Well, and Mr. Hemming himself thought that was a good idea, that we would expand this. I'm going to support this. I think that the strong support of the state, the Chamber of Commerce, our mayor, and the city of Topeka is important to me. So I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
That was sort of,
I'll defer to
Aye.
Commissioner Bueller.
okay.
That's all right.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to close the public hearing and adopt the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item. But let's take a minute, because we've got busy people that have places to go.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you, man.
Congratulations. Okay, good to see you. Next item, please.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to advertise and fill a vacant custodian position at a salary of $30,519, including benefits.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. I first guess that the car club of Ford Fusion doesn't carry the same impact. So, before you today is our request after we have a custodian who will be retiring in late September, that we're requesting to fill that post and be able to fill that position. We have very good custodial staff, but without this person here being able to refill this, it would cost us overtime to maintain the safety and the cleanliness of the facility. We have a 26-year-old facility, and but one of the things that we do pride ourselves on is that it is we have an obligation to keep it well maintained and clean. It often is talked about in our audits, and we want to maybe, with this request, to be able to fulfill that obligation. So I have talked to, gone through Human Resource, I have talked to Financial Administrator, and this would be with benefits of $30,000 and $519.
Questions?
I-
Motion?
I move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook to approve, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please, Cindy.
Item C2, consider approval of request to apply for a VISTA Fellow through the Washburn University AmeriCorps program to assist the Adult Detention Center in increasing the capacity of the offender reentry program by developing a strategic plan at a cost of $4,000 to come from the inmate commissary account.
Good morning, Brian Cole again, Department of Corrections. Our agency is requesting approval to apply for a VISTA Fellow through Washburn University AmeriCorps program that I first want to say I take full responsibility. The deadline to submit this application, and didn't cost us anything to submit the application. They had a deadline of last Friday. We did get caught up in other activities at the jail, so that's why it was delayed, and I did want to make sure that that was put on the record. You know, since 2011, we have had we had a major budget decrease, and we did have to lose some of our efforts regarding reentry. We still have maintained some of our primary aspects of making sure that we're assessing the offender's risk for reoffending, and we do try to ensure that we're pairing those inmates up with the appropriate programs. This opportunity came with us. I want to apologize because Major McCarty is sick today. She would have been here to explain this. But this is a unique opportunity for us to pair with University of Washburn University and a VISTA Fellow to come in and help us reevaluate, help us to set up programs, do needs assessments with the inmates. It addresses poverty and strengthening the community. And allows us to set up those necessary funding resources to work with Stephanie Mott on grant resources. And with this person coming in, it allows our program staff to continue to do what they're doing and allows this person to strictly focus on assessing our reentry program. I did call Financial Administrator Betty Greiner regarding the ability to use our inmate wellness account, and we both thought this was appropriate to do. And the reason I want to use these funds is this is an inmate wellness program. This goes to strictly benefit the inmates, that this is money that they use that will be able to benefit this. It's available to all the inmates, but this is a person who's going to be able to come in and really enhance the way we do business to make it more efficient and at a very reasonable cost. And this is an evidence-based program. I've researched it, and I am on board with this 100%. And so I'm just asking for your approval today. And again, I apologize because of the untimeliness of this coming when the application was due last week.
Questions or comments for Brian?
Will, Commissioner Chairman,
Sure.
will the deadline affect us being able to
No,
participate?
no. When we talked to Washburn, they were indicating that they will be we submit our application, they will try to find us a VISTA. Probably wouldn't get somebody till October, and so we do have time to approve. But we could still reject, and not even even if it was approved, if we didn't think this person was qualified or met our program requirements, that we could even still say no. So this doesn't obligate us to anything. But yeah, we'd be fine with the deadline. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of the contract or the grant application with Washburn for the VISTA Fellow. I think that anytime we can partner with our universities, we should. And this is an excellent opportunity to partner and also to develop maybe future employees with the Department of Corrections. So I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Next item.
Item D, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider awarding bid to Claver Construction Company, Inc. in amount of $273,909 for the Southwest Docking Road Bridge over Haskell Creek project, and authorization and execution of Contract C 293-2014 for same.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and it is stated in the memo, we took bids for the replacement of this bridge, which is on Docking Road and just south of Southwest 57th Street, out near the Dover area. We only received one bid from Claver Construction. However, the bid that Claver submitted is $56,000 plus or minus less than the estimate for the project. And we have worked with Claver in the past, and they are a very reputable company, so we have all the faith in the world that they will get this completed on time. The project is set to start on September 2nd and end in mid-December, and the funding for this project would come from the current half-cent countywide sales tax. So it's our recommendation that that this item be approved. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
Questions or comments from Mr. Vlock?
I just have one
Yes.
question.
Yes, Commissioner
Don't have
Bueller.
any issue with the lowering of costs, that's good. But notice to the property owners that are around that area that'll be impacted, how do you handle that, Tom?
Well, we have discussions with anyone that we needed to acquire
Okay.
right away from, so
Right.
they are fully aware. We have to acquire that before we can even finish design, so
But as
they're
far as
fully
the
aware of that.
project schedule and everything, they know it's coming up September.
Yes, and actually in this particular roadway, there's very few,
Mhm.
it's quite sparsely populated on that
Mhm.
particular
Mhm.
roadway section, and I think there's very few folks that would even be impacted, to be honest with you.
Okay, most likely I would hear from them. So, okay,
That's the
thank
way
you.
it works.
Yeah, yeah. Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next item, please.
Item E, Health Agency. Number 1, consider approval of request to fill an Office Assistant 3 position at a salary of $34,911.37, including benefits in the CHC, and permission to fill any subsequent positions that result from filling this one.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Shawnee County Health Agency. We recently received the resignation for the person who's in this position, so we're asking to fill this position. This position, this Office Assistant 3, provides significant support to the Community Health Center's Support Services Manager, who oversees all of our front desk personnel. And they also do a lot of the training of that staff as well. So we are asking to fill this position. The cost, including benefits, is $34,911.37. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Questions?
I have none. Move approval of the request.
Second.
Motion made to approve the request by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next, please.
Item E2, consider approval of request to adjust starting vacation accrual for the medical director as a part of the benefit package for the position.
Commissioners, I have been working over the last several months in trying to hire a medical director. The position was approved to fill back in November. We have identified a candidate who's extremely well qualified, and as part of our discussions and negotiations, the request was made to increase vacation accrual, and so I'm bringing that forward to you for approval. There has been precedent set for this action in other areas, and so I ask for your approval on that.
Yeah, we have done this in the past with highly qualified people that we wanted on board, so I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Alice. Next, please.
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider out-of-state travel for one employee to attend the Topeka Chamber of Commerce's 2014 Intercity Benchmarking Exchange to be held September 24th and 25th in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and for 2 employees to attend the National Recreation and Park Association Annual Congress and Exposition October 12th through the 16th in Charlotte, North Carolina, at a cost not to exceed $1,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. As the clerk just stated, this is a request for out-of-state travel for a couple of functions. One is the Chamber of Commerce's inter-city visit with Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation is a member of the Topeka Chamber of Commerce, and with that, the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation Foundation is going to pay for one employee to go on that inter-city tour. The other request is the National Recreation Park Association to send 2 employees to that conference. The registration fees for that is what I had intended to take out of the Shawnee County budget. All of the other fees, all the travel, hotel, the other costs that go along with that to be paid for by the Shawnee County Parks and Rec Foundation. That being said, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. I will say also that the Shawnee County Parks and Rec has received a grant from the Larry Heeb Professional Development Fund, which is administered by the Kansas Recreation Park Association, which is likely to cover most of the cost of the second employee to travel to Charlotte too.
Well, and I'd asked you, why do we need to send 2 people on this out-of-state travel? So, and then you responded that.
I don't know if you overheard me or not, but when you ended that first item, I complained to Stephanie about her printer. I was running off a copy of the educational sessions that are available for the days there in Charlotte. There are numerous different tracks between administrative tracks, professional level staff, to staff that implement programs, to Parks Division. They also even have a track for elected and board members, and it'd be my goal someday to take a county commissioner along, not to see what we do in Topeka, not to see what we do in Kansas, but just like we've gone through the master plan this last year, you really don't know what you don't know until you go to some of these places and you see these best practices. There are probably 25 to 30 sessions offered at the same time. 2 employees can't cover the attendance at this. To meet that mission critical test, if we're having any kind of issues we'll have with difficulty of implementing the master plan that just got completed, is because we haven't been attending these type of functions over the last 15, 20 years, and we should have been, so that we would have been one of the departments in the country. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Well, I think it's important that the attendees zero in on the committee meetings and the concurrent sessions that are focused on implementing our strategic plan. I think that's critical. And
I'm even going down a little bit early to attend the CAPRA, which is the association that provides the association accreditation for the department, because I can see that being another step that our department will want to take in the next few years to find out what it is exactly they're going to ask to become an accredited Parks and Recreation agency. So,
and I agree with that 100%. That's what we need to do. Commissioner Cook, anything? No. Commissioner Bueller?
I move approval of the request for out-of-state travel for both items.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item G, Audit Finance. Number 1, consider approval of request to close the Shawnee County operating bank account at U.S. Bank since the county changed their operating account to UMB Bank in March of 2013.
Good morning. Betty Greiner, Financial Administrator. In November of 2012, we issued a request for proposal for our banking services. UMB was awarded that. So in March of 2013, we changed the county's operating account to UMB. It's now been a year and a half, and that's sufficient time for most of the outstanding checks to clear. So I am requesting your approval to close that account. I would like to point out that the county clerk and the treasurer will be canceling all of the outstanding checks on that account. They will do that through our normal procedures. That anyone can still request a reissuance for any of those payments that are outstanding to them. They will just need to go through the county clerk's office or the treasurer's office to go through that procedure. One more thing. I have prepared a letter that for Commissioner Bueller's signature to close the account, because she is one of them that was on as a signer of that account. Since you were new commissioners and we knew we were changing to UMB, we did not have the other 2 commissioners sign on the old account. So I have prepared that letter for her to sign.
Okay. Thank you, Betty. I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Betty. Next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications. Number 1, recognition of John Bell, Recreation Supervisor, as one of 20 honorees for the 20 Under 40 Award given by the Boy Scouts of America.
Commissioners, I'd like to introduce Emily Marquardt, who's the co-chair of this year's 20 Under 40 Club, to come up here and present. And this is an honor that we are extremely proud of one of our employees, of being able to be selected for this group. And with that, I'll turn this over to Emily.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to help in recognition of John.
Come on up, John.
And so I had the pleasure of notifying John last week that he has been inducted into the 20 Under 40 program for 2014. And for those who are not aware, this is the 5th year of the 20 Under 40 program's existence. And we have just over 100 inductees. It is supposed to be 20 every year, but the first year they had an exception, so there were 21. And each year, the program, it gets harder and harder to select candidates. We had, so I'll take a step back here. So every spring we open for nominations. And we really made a push in the community and with the larger corporations and with the nonprofits and other areas to get more and more nominations. And this year we had, over 200 nominations that were unique, so individuals within Topeka. And so there are a lot of people doing a lot of great things. And once you've been nominated, then you are invited to apply. And of course, there are some humble folks out there who just simply choose not to apply and would rather see other people awarded. But we had a record number of over 100 applications this year. There were only 89 last year, which was the record from the year before. So it continues to grow, and we continue to be amazed by the leadership and the efforts that go on into making Topeka a better place to live, work, and play. And it's an incredible honor for John to be inducted as well. The way that the honorees are selected is we have a selection committee of some of the more active leaders throughout the community, whether they be active with their corporations or through volunteer organizations, that kind of thing. And so this year we had 20 members of that selection committee, and they spent countless hours. In fact, I had one person inform me that they just slated a week into it, and from sunrise until sunset, one Saturday and Sunday, they went through applications. This year, we upped the ante a little bit on it and required all applicants to submit 2 letters of recommendation, which proved to be helpful in determining who should be recognized this year versus maybe somebody that would need to go through the process again next year. It's so hard sometimes to choose between one person and another, and sometimes those letters of recommendation help make that differentiation. I'm not sure, I don't want to steal John's thunder here, so I will let you give some of your background, but I just wanted to say that we're very excited to be able to have someone from Shawnee County Parks and Rec be honored with this award this year. John's doing great things for Old Prairie Town, and as a result, doing great things for Topeka. And with that, I am going to step aside and let John speak.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's an amazing honor to be on a list of so many other amazing individuals that do amazing things throughout the community. I'm really blessed, and I was really shocked to when she notified me last week that I was selected. It's a great honor. This is an individual award, but this is really a team effort. None of this would be possible without the amazing staff at Old Prairie Town and the amazing staff I have at Gage Park. And I'd also especially like to thank John Knight and Randy Luby for believing in me. You know, I came over from the city and the merge, so they believed in me, they trusted me, and they saw the vision that we have at Old Prairie Town, and they continue to give us the tools and the funding to succeed. So this is a little bit harder to talk because it's about me, but so if we want to talk about Old Prairie Town, I can talk about it for hours. But again, I just want to thank these two gentlemen. We have a great Parks and Recreation staff. I'd like to thank the three commissioners for giving us the tools that we need to operate on a day-to-day basis. And I'd also like to thank the Boy Scouts and this lady next to me, Emily, for helping out and participating in the 20 under 40. So thank you.
I'd like to say congratulations, John. It is an honor to be nominated and to apply and then to be selected, and I'm sure it's a tribute that is well deserved. And you did two smart things. Number one, you thank the team that you work with, and that's important.
Yeah,
and then number two, you recognize your bosses, which is always important.
I'm learning from this man right
Yeah,
now.
I'm sort of speechless after that, but congratulations again.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cook?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, you know, there are times you really see somebody and you see their leadership shining through. And John, every experience, every encounter I've had with you, from Old Prairie Town to all of your work with Parks and Rec, your leadership has really shown through. You have just a sense of humility and ability to get down to whatever task it is that's really confronting you. And so you should be really honored by this, and it's well deserved.
Thank you.
How many years have you been with?
This will be my 10th. Actually,
10th?
10 in September. So.
Wow. That's
So,
amazing. Well,
and loving every minute of it. I gotta say, I have the best job in Parks and Recreation.
well, your enthusiasm and energy is contagious. Every time you come to the commission
You're right.
meeting, we see that, so
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
I
Thank
actually
you.
have one more thing.
Oh.
No, you're fine. On behalf of the 20 under 40 program, I did want to say we have a number of activities that the honorees are involved in. And in November, every year, we host a banquet to recognize all of the honorees. That also, the ticket sales for this event raise funds for the Boy Scout Association. And there are over 6,000 program participants that benefit from the funds that are raised through that. And this year's event is November 13th. It's on a Thursday. And so if you are interested in that, the 20 under 40 program information is on the Jayhawk Area Council website of the Boy Scouts Association. And or if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to me directly, or John can put you in connection, or Erin Aldridge is actually the development director for Boy Scouts. Unfortunately, she is traveling for work, and so I got to stand in, but so if anyone is interested in attending to recognize John and the other honorees this year, we do invite you to
Good.
come. So,
Good.
thank you
I-
very much.
I'm interested in any fundraiser that doesn't involve ice water. All right, are there other administrative communications? Okay, Commissioner Cook, anything?
I don't think I have anything further.
Commissioner Bueller?
Just along the same note, congratulations to all the 20 under 40, but Candace Mearpole with Kansas State Research and Extension, Shawnee County, she was also a recipient, so congratulations to her as well. And then I want to publicly thank Betty Greiner, for helping guide us through the budget. You made it very simple. It appeared very simple. It was not simple, but just always being there for us to answer questions and to really break down things and to better understand the budget. And so I think not only for us, but for the public, everything was right out there. Everything that we had, the public had. So thank you very much.
Very much.
Yeah, and I'll add my thanks to Betty, too, whether it's looking at internal controls to make sure that we're running well, whether it's completing the audit earlier than we've ever done before, or whether it's leading us through a budget process seamlessly, like Betty did. Betty Griner has become a tremendous asset to Shawnee County, and I wanted to recognize her too. Thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner. Next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need, so we are adjourned.